Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of the Papa D's cooking show at the train in Fordsburg. Today, inshallah, we're going to prepare some lamb chops for you. Now, I've been to many places where people prepare salt and pepper chops, but eventually what happens is it's very dry. Also, what you find is all the bones are sticking out, the chops have disintegrated, and though it's a very tasty dish, the presentation always doesn't look too good. What I want to show you is with this little pressure cooker that I'm using here, the Philips electric pressure cooker, you can do this meal firstly in good time, and secondly, you'll be cooking it as you might call, my daughter was telling me the other day that she needs to buy a set of pots, and I said, why? She said, no, I need those set of waterless cookware and whatever, and it's like 11,500 rand. I said, what are you buying it? Just as a trophy? Because really, you're not going to use it that much. I said, I'm going to give you one of these machines and you'll never stop thanking me, because it's efficient, it doesn't take out space, and you will eventually use it every day. So today we're going to do the lamb chops, which I have in front of me here. And a word of advice to you, when you are buying lamb chops for a meal like this, ask them to give you loin chops, because this doesn't have the bone going all the way through. Though you can use any chops, but just as a recommendation, these are much more meatier, and obviously if you take a better grade, you'll have a lot of fat. Now I know the ladies usually remove all the fat because no one's going to eat it, right? So you'll find I'm using it with the fat on, but once it's cooked, you'll find that it separates so easily that if you don't want to eat the fat, you're fine. But you are not losing the nutrition and the flavor that comes out of the fat. Now, again, I'm going to use my pressure cooker as a conventional cooker, and I want to get the first stage going, and then I'll run you through the rest of the ingredients. So firstly, I'm going to add a little bit of oil here because I want to sear the fat on the chops. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I don't need too much because there's going to be enough fat coming out of the chops as well. Now, I've just used for the show 4 pieces of lamb chops. I'm putting them together like this, right? But you can cook up to 1 kilo, 2 kilos of them, right? But the idea is first put them down, face down on the fat. You can hear the sizzle. And I'm going to leave them to sear the fat. I'm just going to keep the lid closed. I'm not putting it under pressure. I'm just putting the lid on, and I'm going to put the timer on so that it can start cooking. Now, I haven't timed it yet. This is just for the searing process. What I want to do with this meal is to serve it with almost like a baked potato. So let's get started firstly. I just want to see how my chops are doing here. They're coming on fine. I'm just searing the fat a bit. And now I'm going to get a little mixing bowl together. A little bit of salt. As I said, you can always add salt later. And then I'm going to get some liquid in. So I'm going to use about 3 spoons of lemon juice, half a teaspoon of fine white pepper, and half a teaspoon of the coarse black pepper. And then I'm using a full spoon of the aromat. That's almost ready. I'm adding a little bit of oil to it. And I'm going to whisk this all together. Now, you could, if you decided you don't want the onion, if you don't want too much gravy, then yes, you can cook it just with this mixture as it is. Now, you'll feel this looks so little bit for what you're cooking. But remember, we are using the stock that's going to come out of the chops all the sauces and the juices that come out will be part of your gravy. So you don't need to add too much. You'll also notice, people talk about waterless cooking. I am definitely not using water in these dishes, right? Because I want a bit of gravy, I'm going to use about half an onion here. You could put it in quite like this, it'll be cooked right through. But because I want it smooth, I'm going to just give it a quick thin slice. As I've mentioned to you before, if you're using any round vegetables, cut them in half and work with them. They're much easier to handle. My onions are ready. I can hear my chops sizzling away there. And to show you what's already happened, my chops are already searing. The fat is searing quite nicely. And I'm ready to move on to the next step. Because I'm just using 4 chops, I'm putting them face down. But don't worry, if you have a bigger quantity, even if they're on top of each other, this is unlike conventional cooking where the meat has to be on the surface all the time. Now into that, I'm going to add my mixture. Bismillah. Just give it a nice toss around. My mixture's in. And now I'm going to add the onion. If you like, you could flip the chops around by now. But if you're using a bigger quantity, as I've said, there's no big deal if it doesn't have contact with the surface. All that's ready. The potato I'm going to put in much later because this here, if you check your Philips pressure cooker, there's a setting here that says lamb, right? Or mutton. Now, that's about 20 somewhat, but I'm just putting this on for 24 minutes. There's a 24-minute mark there. I'm putting this on for 24 minutes. But because I need only 12 minutes to cook my potato, remember to put your vent down, close the vent, that's ready. So here we are, that's done. I'm going to come back to this in another 12 minutes so that I can put my potato in and cook it under the same time frame. And while that's happening, I'd like to serve this meal with some freshly steamed vegetables. I'll be using the Philips steamer here, and this is another lovely little machine because you notice that I'm actually multitasking, that while the one's cooking, I'm preparing the next. So my total cooking time right up to getting it onto the table shouldn't be more than 20 minutes if I have all my ingredients in front of me. So this here has a nice interface. You can choose what you want to do, and I'm going to go down where it says veggies. Veggies over there. There we are. It says there 10 minutes. I'm just going to let this warm up in the meantime while I prepare my vegetables. So I'm using today baby marrows, some sweet corn. I can already drop these in. And I'm using some carrots, not too small. You can use whatever veggies you like, but I find these do quite nicely and they remain firm. There go my mushrooms. Fine, I'm ready to switch the machine on. And there we are. I've put the timer on to 10 minutes. You'll see a little steamer button coming up here, so it's going to steam through quite nicely. And there we are. I can go and have a coffee and relax and come back in about 10 minutes. My veggies should be ready by then, and I'll be ready to put the baked potato in with the rest of the ingredients in with the chops here. So here we are. My 10 minutes are almost up. My veggies are almost ready, but I need to get my potato going. Now, as you can see, this potato is totally uncooked. So a safe thing to do is I'm going to leave my timer just where it is. And there's a little on-off switch at the back here. At the bottom, I'm switching that off. So the machine is actually off. I'm going to depressurize it and open it. My pressure cooker is ready to open. So all I'm going to do now is put my potato in and close up. Close the vent, switch on the machine. So now it's still going to continue in that same cycle of time. My veggies are ready. I just want to prepare. I don't want to serve them completely dry. So I'm going to create a little sauce, like a lemon butter sauce, but not too thick. So what I'll use here is some butter, lemon juice, my 2 peppers, and the aromat. And just to balance the lemon juice, I'm going to add a pinch of sugar. Right? Let's get that together. I'm going to get my liquid in first. Now you'll notice my butter is still quite firm, but I'm not too concerned about that because I've got the steamer working there. I'm going to add the dollop of butter in there. Add in the aromat. Just be careful here. Here I'm using a little bit more of the coarse pepper because I want the look of the pepper. And I'm using very little of the fine white pepper. Always remember, you may underestimate it, but pepper can turn your dish into a very strong dish. I need the butter to melt, so I'm just going to leave it back in here with the veggies. And again, I'm multitasking. Instead of going and microwaving and doing something else or getting onto a stove, I'm just using what is here. And in a minute, that should be ready. My chops should be ready shortly, and then we'll be ready to serve. So here we are. My time is up. I'm just going to depressurize the machine. In the meantime, my lemon butter is ready for my veggies. And I'm just going to call Chef Proud to come and help us present this meal. So there we have it, our salt and pepper lamb chops served with a jacket potato and freshly steamed vegetables. Now again, as I've said, if you want this to have more gravy, all you need to do is add more onion to it, and you'll have a nice thick gravy which you can pour over and even have it as almost like a curry if you want to have it with a paratha or something else. And for today, that'll be all from us at Papa D's at the Train. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.